Okay, so those of you who are online with us, there is a resource that Danny created. He's handing it out in person now. Grace just put the link in the chat. It's a link to a Google Doc. Okay. All right, you see that? Everyone can see the Google Doc on my screen? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. So this document is a guide. So for those of you who may be logging on through the app, your main screen may look like this, while mine looks like this because I'm on the website. So it may be different depending on how you're accessing it, but it has all the same capabilities, okay? And then this is setting screens as it looks through the app. I'll be demonstrating it a different way. And then this is when we talk about a toolbar, this is what it looks like. So this is the document. It has instructions for doing a lot of things on chat, in breakout rooms, and how to set up polls and quizzes. So again, if you can't work alongside with us today, it's okay. These directions should help you. Grab some time to practice in your free time to set up polls or learn how to manage breakout rooms. But this is the resource that we're using as a guide today. And I'll be walking through the demonstration of these. And if you're able to, you can walk through it with us. Okay. All right. So those of you who are online and you're able to access the back end of Zoom, my recommendation is to set up your screen where you can minimize one, like half your screen, so that half is me and us in the workshop and the other half is your Zoom. So you don't have to flip back between tabs and you can actually walk along with us. That is just a suggestion for those of us online. Those of you who are in person, look at the big main screen for the demonstration and then look to your screen for your back end practice along with us, okay? All right, so we're gonna go to chat was not a priority today, so I'm gonna skip that for now. We'll loop back and get it if we have time, but Zoom polls was something that you all really wanted to learn about today. And so we're gonna go through a demonstration of that part within our manual. So if you turn to the last page of the manual or scroll through in your document if you want to follow along that way. Okay, and so we're going to walk through the process of setting up polls on your back end and also how you launch a poll during a meeting, okay? But at first, I'd love to hear from a couple of our people who were in the poll group and some of those who maybe weren't in the group but have ideas. What are some ways that you could use polls in your classroom or if you're one-on-one tutoring?
Hi, I'm sorry, I can't find my handy dandy hand waving button.
That's fine. You can just come off mute and share.
Okay. So one of the ways I start using it is in the beginning, the first day usually of class. And I ask, have students been have they attended class with us before? Have they used Zoom before? What do they know about chat feature? Can they raise their hand? And those are yes or no questions. And I've also, unfortunately, used it to do quizzes because sometimes my quiz doesn't work adequately. But the problem I have with it is I'd like to see how individuals answered. And I haven't been able to figure out how individuals responded.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Maybe that's something, Grace, we can add to we won't address that one today, but we could do a little research and add how individuals respond to quizzes.
Right.
I think there's a report that
Yeah.
you can download for that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's something we'll add to our parking lot. Any other ideas? You can just blurt them out popcorn style ways that you can use polls. So we have quizzes, we have learning about learners' experiences with technology. Any other ways you use polls in the class? Or could?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
was
Go ahead.
thinking, what about,
Yeah, yeah, actually, yeah, you can.
about asking students, you know, just throughout the class, maybe once, twice, how are you feeling? Like a poll just saying, are you feeling overwhelmed? Sometimes I just don't even know if my students are even with me, because they're just nodding, but I don't know.
That's
So I'm
great.
thinking you can use a poll to see how they're feeling, kind of thing.
Right. A pulse check, right? So feelings, you could also use it for, is this information like easy, too easy,
Oh, yeah.
right on track or whatever, too difficult, kind of picking different ways so you can check in to see how they're pacing. Because you're right. A lot of times it's just a nod or blank faces and you have no clue. Carol.
So you could almost can you use like emojis to as opposed to them answering in English, like happy face, I'm with you, like, or medium face, like I'm not really sure. you
Yeah,
know?
sure. We can, when we go do the demonstration, I can show you. You can put images into your activities. You could use images instead of words.
Oh, okay.
And then Carol, we'll take you as the last one. You don't have to push unmute because the microphone will pick you up.
I used a poll in my second class to ask the students what their goals were in learning English. And I had, to get a better job, to communicate with the doctor, to talk to your child's teacher. And then each one I had very important, not important, that, I don't know, I had a scale of 4 things to find out what was most important and what were they looking for in my course.
Yeah.
And all of them said to get a better job or to get more education, job training.
Mm.
And of course, not all of them had children, but those who did said they wanted to talk to their child's teacher. All of them said they wanted to be able to talk to the doctor. So
How did you create that question for your students?
But when you go into the chat mechanism on Zoom, it tells you how to do it.
Okay.
Yep.
It's kind
And
of
we have the demonstration here. Well, we got you. And your form does that, but that's great. You could also use them to do a little pre-check before you start a lesson to see how familiar they are with the content, or after a lesson, you can use it as an exit poll, right? Where you can see if they answer these questions correctly based on the content from the day. So you know what they grasped, what they didn't, and how you might want to direct your next class. These are all great ideas. We have more. We'll add more to the document, and I have some other ones that we'll add. So we'll send out more and more ideas on how you can use polls in your classroom, so you have a lot of options. If you're itchy to share an idea, you didn't get a chance to, drop it in the chat for us, will you? All right, so I'm going to share my screen with you again, and we're going to walk through how we can set up a poll. While I'm doing the sharing, you're going to get you're going to see my whole screen. So if you have something to say, I won't be able to see you. So please just just unmute or write in the chat. Okay. All right, so you have your quick Zoom guide. This is what we're going to use. We're going to use the page on polls and quizzes. It has the directions to walk you through. So if you're really familiar with this and you're not really interested in the demonstration, feel free to just go through and make sure that you can do all these tasks. And if you feel really comfortable with it, go ahead and start making your own poll that you might use for an upcoming class or lesson, so that you're really utilizing this time in service of yourself if walking through the demonstration isn't helpful for you. Okay. For those of you who are able to walk alongside me and you can access the back end of your admin, you can go ahead and click through, play through as we go. For those of you who don't have the capability right now, or just aren't interested and just want to see the demonstration, then you can do that as well. Again, we're choosing our learning journey. Okay, so we're gonna start on the back end with making sure that your polls are even enabled. So if you're using the web browser, it's going to look like mine. If you are using like the app, then yours setup is gonna look a little different. Your screen's gonna be more like this one, okay? From your first page. All right, so you want to be able, question?
Can I just make a note?
Please,
Even if
Danny.
you are, yeah, so if you are in your app, when you click to go to your configurations, you are gonna be redirect to your browser. So it will always look the same, even if you are in your app. When you
Oh.
click to edit, will direct you to the website. So it's always the same screen.
Ah, so they'll start somewhere different, but it'll shift to this.
Yes. Mhm.
Good to know. This is why we have our tech wizard here. Thank you, Danny. Feel free to chime in at any time. All
Okay.
right. So here we go. We want to make sure that they're enabled. The way that I typically go into meetings is I start with settings. And I have here down on the left, click that. And my computer's loading slowly, so please bear with me. All right, and then I click here on meeting. Okay, so once you get to the meeting menu, you can scroll down, you can scroll down to the meetings and polls and find it, or you can use the search setting, and it's just a faster way to get to where you want. So I could just type in polls here. And it brings me to the search. But if you don't want to do that, you can use the scroll feature to find it, okay? But I want to save time, so I'm going to put in polls in my search. And you'll see here that it has meetings, polls, / quizzes. So this may not be enabled on yours. If it's not enabled, it's going to look like this one down here that's gray. If it's enabled, it's blue. So you want to make sure that you're even able to launch polls and make polls. That might not be an automatic setting for you. So you just want to make sure that this is on. Okay, that's the first key point. Okay. Now let's create a poll. I'm going to skip down from, there's an option here where in our document that we're using and following to create from a live meeting. I personally am a person who likes to be prepared, and I probably wouldn't create one during a live meeting. If you're preparing a class, then ideally you would have been doing a major poll ahead of time. I'm not going to prioritize that one right now for time. I'm not going to demonstrate that one, but feel free on your free time to go back and try that out. But I'm going to go from a scheduled meeting, okay? Or to schedule, I'm sorry, schedule a poll for a meeting. Okay. So Danny, the way that you put this here is a little different than the way that I go. Sorry, give me a second. So the way that I set up a poll, and Danny, you may do that a little bit different, but I go down to meetings. I go to polls and what happened? I go to polls and quizzes. And now it redirects you, but you can still get to it this way. It may redirect you to go to surveys because they recently did an update. You can also access surveys this way. So they've really renamed it to surveys. So if you're looking for the language polls and quizzes directly, click on it. It'll redirect you, but you could also go to surveys. I go this way because that's what I've been programmed to do. All right. So if you want to set up a poll, you want to set up a new quiz. You're going to click create. Okay. And And the surveys are something that you can do after meetings if you'd like to. I typically stick with polls and quizzes. So I click create. And this is where you can make a new quiz, right? So let's use the example we had before, right? How are you feeling, right? It might be a check-in that you're doing with your learners during the lesson. So you're going to go ahead and add your questions here. And on the drop-down menu to the right side, you have a choice of how you want this question to be. So it could be a single choice where they can only choose one answer. You could have a checklist where they could pick multiple choices. You could create a matching activity, right? Maybe matching a definition to a vocabulary word. They can rank in order or some basic kind of short answers or fill in the blank. Here's a rating scale. Someone was asking about emojis. That could be an option as well. Okay, let's try this one. So we want to make this a rating scale. How are you feeling? So we can say that we'll rank it from a 1 to 5, right? Or 0 to 5. 0 is not good. And 5 is great. Okay. Then you determine if you want to make this a required question or not. We'll say yes, we want everyone to answer it. If I wanted to add a picture, I could click here and upload an image, right? Let me give my poll a title. Okay. And there's my survey. If I wanted to add more questions, you just click add questions and you can add your questions any kind of format that you'd like. Okay. When you're done, you can preview it by clicking the little eyeball. Okay, so this one, it has my draft answer, but it has my rating scales as well. Okay. So this is the basic way that you can create your, sorry here. Give me 1 second. Just stop my share for a second. That's the basic way that you can create your poll, right? And after you've created it, you can have access to it in your live meeting, and I'll show you how to do that. Yes, Judd, question. Oh, you're on mute.
Where does it get saved?
Yeah, fantastic question. So let me share my screen for you again. All right. So you can see both of my screens, right? Let me make this small for you. So I can make this one big. Okay, you can see my screen. Verbal confirmation will be helpful because I can't see you.
Yes, I see.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'm saving this. All right, so now I have my list of polls and quizzes. It's here, saved.
Okay.
Okay. Now let's talk about how we could access this quiz during a live meeting. So ideally you make this on the back end, right? Before you even start class. So let's go back to our meeting. And say I want to launch this poll with you now, right? So this is the last section on polls and quizzes. I will go to more. You can see my buttons on the bottom, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm clicking here. Polls and quizzes. Let me stop this one. Okay, this is what you'll see. Mine just showed that other one because I just launched that one. But it has a list of all the quizzes that you ever made. So keep that in mind. If you make a lot,
Okay.
the newest ones will always go to the top, right? So I can hover over this and this blue button will come up and I can click launch. And there it is. You see it on your screens now, right? Right.
Yes.
So I'm gonna end it. So if you make it on the back end, and as you saw, I did it during this meeting and it's immediately available. So those are, yeah, make it ahead of time as I do.
Question,
Yes.
has placed it on my hard drive someplace?
Say that one more time.
Has Zoom automatically captured it on my hard drive?
Great question. No. So it's only gonna be through that Zoom website platform. Right? It's not
Oh,
gonna be saved
okay.
anywhere else. It's saved through Zoom because you created it there. Mm-hmm. Good question. Other questions about launching polls?
Do you think this could be used in person? I have a smart board and I could
Mhm.
put the poll up. Can people hook into it with their phones and we could do the poll that way?
You could do the poll that way if they're logged into Zoom.
Okay,
Right.
all the phones would have to be logged into Zoom.
If you want to do Zoom polls, right? There are
Yes.
others that you can do where you can use codes. Like I'm just gonna put this one for in the chat for you, like Mentimeter. People can use like a QR code or put in a code and go in that way. They wouldn't have to log into a meeting. But if you want to do Zoom polls, they have to be logged into Zoom,
Okay.
into your Zoom meeting. Good question. Other questions? So let me just do a check-in with you, see how you're feeling on this, right? Thumbs up, like I got this, I see how I can use it. Thumbs to the side, like, I'm a little so-so. Thumbs down, it's like, I'm not with you at all, okay? So I see some thumbs up, some thumbs to the side, right? Thumbs to the side. Okay, okay. Thumbs to the side. Thank you. That's really helpful for us. One last thing that I didn't show you is how you can make that a quiz. So let me just show you quickly. Again, you have the instructions right there. So go home and practice. We're not going to be experts today, right? Okay, so I'm going to go back to this how are you feeling quiz. Right now it's a poll. This is probably not the best example because there's no right answer for this one, right? But let's just pretend like the right answer for this was 5. You're feeling great, right? I can make this a quiz. You could use this if you're, wanting to just do like an impromptu pop quiz or see what they learned and you want them to have corrections. You can click this tab to make it a quiz. Okay. And then when you're editing this question, I don't know if it's gonna even let me make this a quiz. That one probably won't even let me because the options. I don't think I can do it with any of mine, so sorry about that. But if I change this to maybe a multiple choice or single choice, there we
It
go.
was because
Oh, go
it
ahead.
was a rating. It was a rating. You can
Yeah.
do like a quiz with a rating.
Right. Okay. So if we wanted to make it a quiz and the choices are bad and great, then you could make it so that there's only one right answer, right? So you would click set answer and you pick the correct one. So I'm gonna say great, done. So then when they take it, it's gonna give them a right or wrong answer. So just keep that in mind. A poll is just gonna give you a pulse of where your class is. Yeah, a poll for the pulse. That might be a way to remember it, like what they're learning, what they're thinking, what they're feeling, where they're at. A quiz is if you want them to see if there's a definitive right or wrong answer. Okay. So you can always choose. If you make it a quiz, you have to tell the system what the right answers are. All right. Carol, and you can stay on mute because the camera will pick you up.
Does does Zoom guarantee that the students' privacy will be maintained? I mean, they can't see each other's scores, can they?
Right, no, it's just gonna come to you. And if you choose, so say it's a poll, and you can choose to share that with the group or not, right? Because it says like share results. If you want to keep it private, don't share your results.
And even if you share the results, it won't show who answered what,
Oh, not the
Oh.
names.
not the names, just the results.
Excellent, thank you.
Good. All right. Any other questions around polls before we move on to breakout rooms?
So I think it happened here and then it happened with Tahira as well. Some people are not seeing the polls when you go to the settings on the back end.
Mhm.
So I'm just checking how it can happen. I don't know if somebody will have this problem as well, but I think could be something with the type of the Zoom account. So here we have a basic account and then can be that also the administrator of the account
Mhm.
not enable these on the back end. So there is like a master administrator and there is the account administrator. So if you
Absolutely.
have problems with these, we can follow up later.
I can find it on mine, but I have a free account. That's what I was thinking. Is it because it's free?
No, it should have.
It
But
still
so
should have
here-
it?
Yeah, it should have. So I'm just checking to see exactly what are these tabs when you
Okay.
have this problem, but I don't know yet.
Okay.
So we'll put that on the parking lot as a follow-up item, Danny. Yeah, that was a good point. So if you are using a login that you get from your program, right? Like your program director or manager gave you access to a Zoom login, they have ultimate control on what's enabled and what's not. So if there's something that you want to enable or you don't even see, talk to your administrator about that and let them know, hey, I want to be able to do polls or quizzes. Can you enable it on the back end for me? And they should be able to support you with that. If you have issues, call Danny, drop your email in that chat if you're brave enough to do so. They can help out a bit as well. He loves to help people. Not to offer you up like that, Danny. All right, so are we ready to move on to breakout rooms? Okay, so online games is short. I know that was your number one priority, then chats and breakout rooms. So right now, I'm gonna spend the next like 15, 20 minutes focusing on breakout rooms before you go into your lesson planning activity. Online games, I'm gonna share that list with you. So there's really nothing for me to demonstrate with that. It's really gonna be your exploration and finding out which websites you really like. Okay. So let's move on to breakout rooms. So that is in your little manual as well, your Zoom manual as well. And I'm going to share my screen again with you, and it's going to start on the administrative side so that we can make sure that breakout rooms are even enabled for you. We actually had an issue with this during a recent meeting. For some reason, we don't know how, but our breakout rooms got disabled and we had to really pivot our plans. So let's see here. Again, you're nice and small. So if you have something to share, please just be verbal, okay? And discard these changes. So I'm taking us back to our home page. Nope, too far. Okay. I'm logged into my home page and I want to make sure that I am even able to access breakout rooms. So again, I like to start by going to settings here on the left side. Okay, we can click on meeting. So you can see there's a smaller menu here. The breakout rooms is considered the advanced settings. You can click on that and search for it or use the search bar again. And I already searched for breakout, so I can go to breakout. Or type it in because it didn't let me click. Breakout. All right, so it's, it hops me to the section that I'm looking for. So this is what we want to make sure that your breakout rooms are enabled, right? I'm gonna cancel this because I don't want to mess up anything today. But you want to make sure that it's blue, that your breakout rooms are enabled. And then you can look into some of these checkbox too and see if this is something you want to be able to do. Sometimes you can, if you know for sure who's coming to your meetings, you can schedule breakout rooms in advance. We're not going to talk about that today, but that's something you can do. If you want to be able to do that, make sure that this is checked off for you. You definitely want to make sure that broadcast messages to participants is checked. This is how you can send messages to them while they're in their breakout rooms. And then today, some of you who are in the breakout rooms, you heard my voice. Sorry if it startled you. Sometimes it does. If you want to be able to broadcast your voice into breakout rooms, you need to enable that as well. And then this is my favorite feature, and I think it's great for us as educators. You can view the activity of your participants when they're in the breakout room. So you can see their little cameras and their microphones. So if you assign your learners a conversation task, you can spy on them from your main room by looking to see if their microphones or their cameras are, if their cameras are on and if their microphones are moving, that means they're talking. So you can really scan through all your breakout rooms on the other end and see how people are engaging or aren't. And if they're not, you can slide in there and peek in on them. Okay. So
Which one is that?
which one is what?
Uh, the function you just mentioned.
Where you can spy?
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
So you want to make sure this is enabled here. Allow host to view activity status of participants in the breakout room. And then I'm going to
Oh,
show you
okay,
how
okay.
during it, just make sure it's enabled here. And then I'll
I'm
show
going
you
to
next.
click it.
Yeah. And then I'll show you when we start setting up breakout rooms, which I'm about to model, I'll show you how you can spy. Okay. All right. So I am going to move us to the setup of the breakout room. So I'm going to take us just fully to our full Zoom. All right, beautiful. And we have a question, can we share the materials in each breakout room? As in, Lisa, talk to me.
Yes, so I need copy of a textbook or the quizzes or whatever the material as an attachment.
Right.
And then I want each group to discuss about the material.
Sure.
But when I try to do it as soon as the students break, I can't share that same material in each room. Would
Right.
that be possible?
Not yet, as far as I know, in
Okay.
Zoom. Ideally, they have done a great job of improving how people can access the chat after they go to the breakout room. Before,
Mhm.
once you go to the breakout room, you don't even have the chat. Now, if you drop your materials in before you send them to the breakout rooms, they should be able to get back to those materials.
Oh, okay.
The other thing is that if it's just this one screen that you want to share, you can project your screen into the breakout room.
Okay.
But you can't send materials through messages or anything.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Can I just say something? And maybe you can
Sure.
help me with this
Sure.
question. When I share materials to the breakout room and I go into the different breakout rooms, I find that not all the students can see it. Is that because they're on their phone or some other reason?
When you project you go to share your screen to the breakout rooms.
Yeah,
Once you leave, are you using one computer, like one device, or are you using multiple devices?
one.
Okay, so you have to stay in the main room if you're sharing your screen.
No, but I'm saying that once I go in, like I give them a few minutes
Sure.
and then I go in to talk with them to make sure that they've understood.
Yeah.
And a lot of times some of the students will tell me I can't see the shared screen. Not all of them, but some of them. So I thought, does that have to do with what the device they're using?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure why they wouldn't before you left the room. If
Okay.
you left the room to go into their room, then no
Yeah.
one has access to your share screen anymore. So they may be saying that, like, I don't see it anymore. And that's because you left the main room. If they were never able to see it, I'm not exactly sure about that one.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I You can see my screen. You can, oh,
Only to be sure, Tiffany,
yes,
when I have material, I share it before I do the breaking rooms,
right, right. So like,
and I leave it there, and they can see it.
yes, they should be able to access it again once they're in the breakout rooms if they go to the chat.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Judd.
Okay.
But can the students use their chat in the breakout? They're in the breakout room, and you've given them, let's say, something to respond to. Can they
Mhm.
use their chat in the breakout room, and will it carry into the main room?
Woo! Boop, 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 boop. My understanding and my experience, I'm not 100% sure, so anyone else chime in, that if you're using your chat in your breakout room, that you will not, that doesn't automatically go to the whole group chat.
So, okay, that's what I thought. My
Mhm.
follow-up question is how, like, if you ask a group to do a project, like,
Sure.
you know, we're talking about motivation, 3 reasons how to stay motivated, and they come up with those 3 reasons, how can they have a written report that goes to the main room?
Sure. I would encourage them to either write it in the chat when they come back to the main room, or you could do Google Doc like we did today.
Oh, a Google Doc, okay.
Mhm.
I,
Yeah.
I don't know Google Docs so well, so that's a learning curve for me. But
Okay.
I understand that that would be a way to do it. Okay.
Okay. We'll add that to the parking lot. Grace, can we add Google Doc and maybe we can send a video along? Okay, for time's sake, Linda, if we can just take this quickly and then we'll,
Yeah, this is a quick question about, you say that we have to stay in the main room in order to share the screen, and this has been a problem for me because I always go into the breakout rooms, but I've been told that if we use 2 devices, if we stay in the main room with one device, then and share, then that we can go into the breakout room with the other, but that confuses me. I was told this by my supervisor, and
yeah. So that is, I'm a one screener. I'll have to ask Danny on that one. Danny, do you know, or Grace, do you know? Oh, the Alice. Mhm.
Yes, so if you use another if you use another computer and you make the breakout rooms with that computer, you can just to make sure that you are not leaving that. And then if you have another computer that you're moving to, then you can feel free to jump into the different breakout rooms. I think the only thing you need to make sure is that you're a co-host.
That's what's, yeah.
Right, so if you're not a co-host
Right.
to the meeting, then you won't be able to jump in between meetings and you won't be able to broadcast it to the other room. Another thing that Tiffany had already said was if you attach, let's say you attach the material into the chats, you could also put it on maybe one of the learners in a group, you can say you have the attachment, and if you enable it, they can share their screen. And they can share the materials and scroll down to it. Sometimes you can do it that way as well.
Great, thank you.
Actually, that's what I'm doing. I have the multiple breakout rooms. Each one has a co-host, and they already have the same material I'm sharing. So they can share, they can, post, share on their screen in the breakout room. And that works fine.
Smart. Good. Yeah, so there are a lot of workarounds. It just takes a little creativity, collaboration, and sharing. So thank you all. I'm gonna have to pause here just so that we can get through what we need to. If you have something, you're itching to share something or you're curious about, please utilize the chat for that, okay? We really value everyone's input and ideas. So please do that. Okay, so I'm just gonna move. So we saw how we enable breakout rooms. And so I'm just gonna model how we're setting up breakout rooms. Our guinea pigs, those who are gonna be utilizing are the people who are in person. Our in-person folks, please just keep your microphones on mute. I'm going to be using you to demonstrate breakout rooms, because if I use the online people, then they won't be able to see the demonstration anymore, right? So we may be asking you to join breakout rooms and things too, but you'll be able to still see us on the big main screen in front of you. Okay, so let's talk about setting up breakout rooms, right? So you can use your main control bar here. You see my screen still, right? Yeah, okay. You can use the main control bar here, or you can hover down to the bottom and click the more button, okay? So I tend to use the bottom bar, but do whatever feels good to you. This is usually up here. But and if you didn't know, you can move those around. So I'm going to more, and I'm clicking breakout rooms, okay? And I'm going to click recreate because I already created breakout rooms before. I'm pushing recreate so that we can start it from scratch. Okay. So usually this is what it will look like if you haven't done any breakout rooms previously. This is when you click on breakout rooms, it's going to pop up. It's going to say create, and you'll have the options to assign automatically, where it'll automatically put people into rooms for you. You don't choose who. You can assign manually if there are specific people that you want to put in rooms together, or you can let your participants choose their room. So maybe it's like, if you want to talk about, like if it's a discussion prompt, right? And you say, pick your favorite season, and you have the choices are like winter, spring, summer, fall, and learners can pick which room they go into and have a conversation about that season with whoever else likes it, right? There are ways that you could just let people choose their own rooms. I'm going to focus on how we can go ahead and assign rooms manually, because that one is maybe one that would take, like, that you might use more often if you're not using automatic. Okay, so first you want to decide how many breakout rooms you want. So as you start clicking this up arrow, it's going to tell you down here on the bottom how many participants would be in your room. If I did 2 breakout rooms, it would be 12 in each room. If I did 3, it would be 8 in each room, right? So this is something to help you. If I wanted you to work in pairs, I would keep clicking until it's 2. We have an odd number, so I would click 11 rooms, so it's 2 to 3 people per room, right? So just keep that in mind as a tool when you're deciding your breakout rooms. Okay. For our practice, I'm gonna assign us manually, and I'm only gonna create 2 breakout rooms because I want to show you what it looks like, and I'm only gonna be utilizing the people that are online, so that in person, so that our online people can see that too. Okay. So I'm going to recreate 2 breakout rooms. For those of you who are familiar with this, feel free to do this on your own and play. For those of you who want the demonstration, you can hang with me. All right, so I made 2 rooms. I can rename the room if I want to, right? So maybe I've been following track and field, right? So I'm going to name one room USA. And it was supposed to be Jamaica, but they're not really showing up. But I'm going to rename the rooms USA and Jamaica, right? You can call those rooms whatever they want. You can keep them room 1, room 2. Now you're going to click assign. And it's going to give you a list of everyone who's in your meeting. And you can pick and choose specifically who goes into that room, right? So for the sake of our workshop today, I'm not going to be adding any of the students with the stars, because those are all of you who are joining us online. You won't see the demonstration if I do it this way. So I'm going to pick some of us who are here in person. Okay. So I'm going to click Claire. Carol's going to go in room 1, Carol and Colette.
Yeah,
And then I want to assign some people to the Jamaica room. I'm going to put Yan Ping in there, and Nelby and Grace. Okay. So now we can see who's assigned to each of our rooms. Okay, so if I click open room, they're going to receive their invitation to go into those specific breakout rooms. Okay, so we can go ahead and do that. So open rooms, all of our in-person people are leaving now, and now they're in breakout rooms. Okay. And so I can see here, this is the spy part people were so interested in. Well, first, unassigned, there are 18 of you that I haven't even added to a room. So that helps you track. The reason I haven't is because you're online. You wouldn't be able to see this anymore. But if you forgot to assign a learner, or if a learner joined your class late, you could go to their name and assign them to a specific room by clicking on it. Okay. So now I can spy on them, right? So I see that Carol has her camera off, Carol has her camera off, Colette has her camera off. I mean, no, camera's on, but their microphones are off. So they're not having conversation with each other. They did that for the sake of our feedback. But if you can see like Yan Ping's microphone is picking up audio. So it looks like she's having conversation in her room. It's really the audio that's coming through the owl, but if she were in a room talking, we could see she is because her microphone is moving up and down, right? So this is a way that you can kind of spy on the learners. If I saw the USA room, I would say they don't look very active at all. So I'd probably go check on that room by clicking join. Oh, it's going to stop my share. I can't show you, but I would click join and it would just take me to their room. And I could check in and say, hey, how's it going? Do you understand the instructions or what have you? Okay. So that's the spine. Chow Chow, I hope that I saw your smiley face. So we're good to go. Great. Great. So say I'm doing an activity and I want to mix the learners up, right? Maybe I'm doing a jigsaw activity where each room gets some piece of information and they got to bring that information to a new group. And so I can move people to different rooms. So say I want to move Carol from the USA room to the Jamaica room. I can just hover over her name and click move to, and I can click Jamaica. She's going to get an invitation to move. Once she accepts that invitation, which she just did, now she's in the Jamaica room, right? And I say, oh, I want to send Yan Ping to the USA room. I hover over her, move to, and I move her to USA. She's going to get an invitation. She accepted it. There she is in that other room. So you can shift and move learners to the different rooms. I'm going to pause here for questions before I show you how to broadcast.
Here.
Hi, Tiffany. It's been a while since I've used the breakout rooms, but I remember when I attempted to do this more than a couple of times, I had the hardest time moving people to the different breakout rooms. And I'm not sure whether it's probably me, I don't know, my lack of technical skills. But I just couldn't get them there with, using the cursor and trying to move their name to the room. It was very frustrating. So perhaps this has been updated, I guess. In Zoom.
I don't know how long ago you used it, but they are always doing updates to fix the bugs and functionality. So if it's been, months, it's possible you've had an update.
Yeah, it's probably been a good year, but it was so frustrating that I just stopped using breakout rooms because I just couldn't do it easily and efficiently.
Sure. Well, I definitely invite you to try it again, maybe somewhere that's a little lower stakes to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Because the way that this is configured, very easy, but compared to what I was trying to do, it was so hard.
Yeah,
I
to
see.
And
transfer,
it's,
to transfer one learner to from one room to another was different in the past. But now with these, you can just hover over their name and then you just transfer
Oh,
like
okay.
she was showing. I remember before it wasn't like this.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Give it a go again. Good. Yeah. I think we have a question in the chat. Let me check this out. Can a host switch room to room without going back to the main room, then move to another room? Yes, you can, right? I'm pretty sure you can. So I would click, I can't do this now because it'll ruin my share screen and I'll just disappear from all of you. I would, but I could join this meeting and then pull back up my break room through the tab, right? Through here, break
Using
rooms,
this window.
and then just click on join to a different room. You should be able to do that. If you're not able to, just hop back to the main room and then join your new room. Yep. Sounds good. Okay, so I'm just going to show you now just the broadcasting and the share screen. And then we're going to hop into, I'm going to share with you after this the list of the online games, and you're going to hop into the opportunity to start thinking about how you could apply some of these to your upcoming lessons. Okay, so broadcasting, I don't know how this sound's going to work, but I'm just going to show you how I would broadcast a message and my audio to the breakout rooms. Okay, so I may want to send a broadcast, written broadcast. Again, I'll X out of here so you can see where I'm coming from again. I click more, but you could also click more up top, breakout rooms. All right, and I'm clicking this broadcast button. So I have a choice to broadcast a message or to broadcast my voice, okay? So if I click broadcast message, this message is going to all the rooms, all your breakout rooms. Okay, it's not going to show up in your main room. So those who are online, you're not going to see this. You're just going to see it from my end. But all the people who are currently in breakout rooms are going to see this message. So I can just broadcast hello, or you have 2 more minutes, whatever. I broadcast that. It sends to their room, like the message you received earlier from me when you were in your breakouts. And it only lasts for a few seconds. Okay, so that's not somewhere you would want to drop directions there because it's not going to be up long enough for the learners to see. Do that in the chat before you go into your breakout rooms. Make sure that you check for understanding before you go to the breakout rooms. The message is just really short messages, or you can broadcast. Okay, so you click broadcast your voice, and you click on this button. Okay, and that's when you can speak into the room. So by show of hands, how many people heard me earlier when I broadcasted into your rooms and told you had 2 minutes remaining, right? Sometimes it's a little startling. So I would recommend using a lower than usual voice. And you get a notification, just give a little pause for them before you start. So I just click on this button and this will broadcast to those who are in the breakout rooms. Hi, everybody. This is Tiffany. You can't hear me because it's coming through the owl.
Yeah, it's because they don't have sound on their computer. So
Oh
they
yeah,
don't have-
duh. Right. Everybody's on mute on your end. But typically if they had their volume up, they would be able to hear that broadcast. And when you're done, you just hit stop. Okay. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you is how you can share your screen to the breakout. I'm going to stop this share. You're going to click your up arrow. No, you're going to click your little share screen with the up arrow, right? And then these are all the options of all the things that you can share, right? So say I had a PowerPoint presentation that I wanted to share to the group.
Can you just
I'm just going to use this Zoom thing. Say I wanted to, oh, someone else is sharing screen. Whoa, okay. Okay, let's try this again. All right, it's okay, no worries. So say I wanted to share this screen with them in the group and it had instructions for an activity, right? I am going to click over here under options and I'm going to click share to breakout rooms.
We can't see your screen.
Yeah, thank you. We cannot see anything, whatever you're doing.
Oh, thank you for letting me know because I need to share this again. Okay. Okay, so it might stop me because I'm going to try to double share. Okay, can you see it now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm going to pick what I want to share, and then I'm going to click share to breakout rooms. Okay. And then I'm going to share that out. Click the share button. And it's giving you the message, hey, you know, all this is going to go to the breakout rooms. Yes, share. Okay, so now this image that I picked is going to the breakout rooms. If I leave this main area to go check on one of my breakout rooms, if I go to try to join a breakout room, no one's going to be able to see this anymore. Okay, so it's really important that if you want to share this out to your different breakout rooms, that you stay as the host in the main room. A way to get around that is like what they shared earlier. If you're using two screens or you have two logins, like two devices you're using. But if you're just using one computer, solo person, you have to stay. You can still spy on your learners in their breakout rooms from here, but you can't leave and still project the screen with them. All right. The last thing I want to share is asking for help. So could someone who's in a breakout room use the call for help? Let me share my screen with you again, sorry.
Ask for help.
It says, yeah.
So they're
ask for
trying to
help,
find.
ask to show
Yeah.
So
that.
there is.
Yeah.
Ask for help.
Yeah, I just ignored you, but try it again because I had to share my screen with everybody first. Okay, so learners can call for help and you see I get the notification on my screen, right? So, Carol, can you describe what that button was that you clicked as a learner in the breakout room?
It says more. So you click on that, one of the two options is ask for help. So you click on that, then it says you can invite the host to this breakout room for assistance. So then you click invite host.
Okay. So you can like try that out and teach your learners how to do that. So that if they need you, it's like them raising their hand. You'll get a notification like I just did on my screen, and I click join breakout room and it'll take me directly to their room to provide support.
Yes.
Okay.
Just wanted to know, I did earlier and said that, ask for help, and then I closed that screen.
Yeah.
And the same time you click the more, is only give you record, whiteboards and reset to default. They're not ask help anymore.
It isn't in your bar now,
Yeah,
but not on the more, but it's in your
on the
bar.
more, I click on the more, there's three.
And now it's not there
options.
anymore,
Uh-huh,
but it's not on your main.
it's on the more.
Oh, yeah, so it's in the main because
Oh, okay,
you will be on the more if you don't use frequently, but as soon as you click
Uh-huh.
the buttons that are on the more will go
Uh-huh.
to your main
oh,
screen.
okay, okay.
So yeah, because it was on the more when she clicked first, but because she
it's
clicked
moved to the
there, it
bottom bar.
moved to the main bar, so
Yeah.
she's seeing that. She doesn't need to click on more.
Yeah, beside the more, there's
Yeah.
the ask for help button.
All right.
Okay,
So then
thank you.
it seems like once you activate that button, you have easier access to it
Yes.
afterwards.
Yes,
Mhm.
Got it.
thank you.
Yeah,
Can I ask a quick question?
of course.
So, I have difficulty when, showing the students about, asking for help in breakout rooms and so forth. Because what I'd like to do is show them a screen of what it looks like if they're on their phone and what it looks like if it's on the computer. Now, I just tried to ask for help, but I realize it doesn't work because I'm not in a breakout room.
Right.
But is there a way, oh, look, my video is gone. Okay. Is there a way that I can show them step by step? Like, are there pictures anyplace on the Zoom manual or anything like that?
My best bet here do you know how to do screenshots?
Yes.
Okay, so like take yourself through or work with a partner to take you through. And I would kind of screenshot step by step and make a little document. Or there are probably simple YouTube videos. If you go to YouTube and Google like how to ask for help in a Zoom room, there's likely to be some kind of video or something for that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so we're gonna go into practice mode. We talked a lot, we demonstrated a lot, we shared a lot, and now we're going to practice thinking about how, sorry, I need to show you the games first because I promised you that and that's what everybody wanted. So let me just do that. Grace, can you just drop the link to online games in the chat for people? I'll loop back to this as we go into our practice. Grace is going to drop the link, but if you can just pause on looking at it for a second, just so I can just show you what our next task is going to be.
Can you close the breakout rooms?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Of course, yeah. Okay, so let me do this share. So how do you close breakout rooms? That might be an important part. I'm going to more, I'm going to breakout rooms, and then it's the red button, close all rooms. And then you got to click it twice. So I have it set so there's 30 seconds. So look at that 30-second warning. And then if they don't come back in that time, it'll automatically bring them back. Okay. Thanks for that, everybody. Great. All right. All right. Moving through. Okay. So Grace has just put in the chat a list of our favorite online games for the adult ESOL classroom. We created this during a sharing session last year. So there are a lot of great websites and I'll show you here so you can see what we're looking at. Really great websites. Some of them you have to have a login for. Most of them you do, but some of them you don't. And I think all of these have a free version that you can utilize, right? So you can explore these. It's going to take a little time, but you can explore. And I'll kind of show you an example of a lesson that I was using as a sample and how I utilize these games to add a little more engagement to the lessons. So that resource is yours to keep. All right, so.
Can send that page to us so we can print it out.
It's on the chat.
It's in the
It's on
chat. So you can click.
okay.
Yeah, you can click there and look at it. And we'll also in the follow-up email within the next 48 hours, we'll attach it to that as well. So you'll have that. Okay.
Oh, yeah, please.
All those resources will be sent to you as
Thank
well.
you. Yeah, that's what we wanted sometimes because we cannot keep, it's a lot of information.
Of course. Of course.
And even the recording as well as
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's much better, so you can overlook all the time when you need it.
You got it. All right, so this is what you're going to do. If you have like access to your own book or you have a lesson coming up, use a real lesson. I use for a sample is the Ventures 2 book, Unit 1, Lesson B, right? And in this lesson, learners are learning how to describe clothing is the focus. We could just go through the book, section 1, section 2, right? And we could spend the whole class just walking through the book. But that's kind of boring. And it really doesn't meet the needs of different learning styles and different learning needs of our learners, right? And so there are ways that we can take this basic book and lift it off the pages and create a more engaging experience for learners by utilizing chats and polls and breakout rooms and online games. Okay, so I'm just doing a simple example, like basic example of how I could, but feel free to get creative when you're thinking about your lessons and these different ways you can utilize these features to bring your classroom to life more. So one idea is that I could use the polls. So I made my own poll here. where I uploaded an image, and this lesson was really about the order that you use the adjectives in when describing a piece of clothing. So I could use a poll to see what my learners' current understanding is. I could launch that poll at the very beginning of the lesson. And I could do it as a poll or as a quiz. I think for this, I would do it as a poll, just so I could personally gauge where they are. And they can answer that. What is he wearing? And they pick the sentence that has the correct structure. What is she wearing? And they can pick the sentence, right? The tech note, I think is important if you're going to be incorporating more technology, is as you're developing your lesson plan to give yourself notes. Like I can show you here on mine. This is my agenda for today's workshop, and there's a whole column for tech. So it has all my links, and it helps me think through how I will instruct learners to participate in this. So the tech notes that I would add for myself if I wanted to add a poll to my lesson is create my poll and quiz on the back end, and then make sure that I hit the launch button during class so that they get the poll, right? But that's just an idea of how I lifted the content from the book and created something that is more dynamic, and I can really gauge where my learners are using polls. But you can think of any creative ideas you want to use a poll during a lesson. This is another page from the book. I could use breakout rooms to do partner work, right? So if we wanted them to work collaboratively on section B or do that third activity where they're talking about their classmates, we can put them in breakout rooms to do this. Again, I have my tech notes for myself in the bottom of how I would take my learners through this process for myself and for them. I would include that in my lesson plan. Here's a way that we could use a chat. I could put a prompt in the chat. So I wrote teacher because I was chatting with myself on Zoom, so there weren't different names. So the teacher could put in the chat, you know, what are you wearing today? Right? And the students, each one of your students can write in the chat a complete sentence describing what they're wearing. And if you'd like, you can make corrections to your learners' prompts right there in the chat by replying. So you can see here in this example, the teacher puts the prompt on the very top. What are you wearing today? Student 1, I am wearing a red shirt. Student 2, I am wear a green and yellow dress. I can reply to that and do a correction for the learners. So that's a way that you could, just one idea for how you could use the chat. You could even use emojis. There are a lot of clothing emojis. You could drop one of the emojis in there and the learners could type a description of what that clothing item is, for example. You get really creative. Another idea is using those online games. So I was able to just go through that list of online games that I provided for you. And within the first 5 websites on the list, I was able to find activities that already exist around describing clothing. So I think, you know, regardless of what your topic is, there are especially if you're using Ventures or one of those commonly used books, there are going to be instructors around the world who have already created online game materials based on that content. So it shouldn't be really hard to find them. You can go through that list. So I'll show you some of the activities that I found pretty easily based on this topic. I'm sorry, that's not how I want to share with you. Let me stop that share. Try it again. Screen. Okay. So what I did was to find games for this topic of describing clothing. I went to my list and I clicked on, I think these are the first 3, WordWall, Bamboozle, and Games to Learn English. I just clicked on their websites and I did a search for my topic, describing clothing. And I was able to find this online game that I could play with my learners through Bamboozle. Ventures, if you're using the Ventures book, Ventures has the Ventures Arcade, and there are online games and activities for every single unit that you have access to. And then I went to games to learn English and I did a search for clothes and there's a game here.
She is wearing a dress.
And the learner has to know the vocabulary to make
She is
sure
wearing shorts.
they match it,
She is wearing a brown hat.
right? So there's a blue hat and a brown hat. Okay, make sure it's going to the right person.
She is wearing socks.
So that's just a really quick and easy. I found these games within like 10 minutes. Just by going down our list and typing in describing clothes into a search bar. So it's really easy to utilize and find these games. You could send them out as homework assignments. You can send them out during class for practice. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take, I think we're going to take about 30 minutes. We'll see how it goes. For you to think about an upcoming lesson that you have, Grace, and I'm going to stop this share so I can see you all and share it a different way. There we go. So I can see you, all your beautiful faces. Grace and Danny, for those of you who are in person, they have some ventures books and maybe a couple of other ones that you can use if you want to use that as a reference. For those of you who are at home, think about an upcoming lesson that you have or go to your books for a lesson that you might be planning for this or next week. And think about at least 2 ways you can incorporate chat, polls, breakout rooms, or online games in your lesson. And I invite you to do tech notes, as I did in the bottom, to think about what steps do I need to take to use a poll, or what steps do I need to take to use a breakout room for this lesson. And I'm inviting you to go as far as you want. It could be just writing out lesson plan ideas on how you might incorporate chat, polls, breakout rooms, online games. It could be researching games. It could be actually making a poll on the back end if you have access right now for an upcoming class. Okay. But I would say, like, let's take actually 20 minutes to just start working on some ideas or some developing, and then we'll take about 15 and 20 to share out with the larger group for those who are interested in doing so. Okay. We'll see if we have time to kind of put you in small groups to discuss in a bit. Right now, you can choose to work independently if you prefer, or if you're interested in like kind of idea sharing with people, you can raise your hand and I can put you in a breakout room and you can work with others as you're thinking through a lesson. Okay, anybody interested in working collaboratively? No? Okay, everyone wants to work independently? All right. All right, so stay with us, don't leave, because the feedback's important. So I'm gonna give us 20 minutes, so if we can all come back at 2:35. Yeah, let's check in at 2:35. Okay, Tahira would like to collaborate. Anyone else interested in collaboration? And we can put you in a breakout.
To do some,
Yes.
what do you want us to do as a group?
Right, well, if you want to idea share or collaborate on an idea for a lesson, you may not have the same lesson coming up, but maybe you want someone to like think through and idea share as you're developing your own lesson.
Okay, so ideas for lesson plan or something like that. Okay.
Right, like how you can incorporate polls, breakout room, chat, or games.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard.
You said it's gonna be hard?
I don't know too much, that's why that's the reason of this class, we wanna learn.
Right, and so now it's the challenge. Let's see if you can apply something. It doesn't have to be great. It's really just getting your brain thinking differently and thinking about your possibilities. It doesn't have to be complex. If look, I'm gonna make one poll, boom. That's more engagement and interaction than your learners may have had before, and that counts. It matters.
So,
Is anybody else interested in collaborating or talking through with somebody? You can raise your hand or give me a thumbs up and I can put you in a breakout room.